Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be putting together the miniature DIY Christmas house. First of all, I'm cutting out the pieces. Now this piece is for the floor, as you can see. We've got the floorboards for the inside of the house and the stones that will be going outside. So I'm just attaching this with some PVA glue, and I'm using the silicone brush that I made in a previous video that I will link below. This silicone brush was really good because you can just wipe it off, and if you forget to wipe it clean, then you just peel it off. And you'll also see during the course of this video that my nails, they start to wear off a bit because it did take me quite a few days to put this house together bit by bit. Any bits of glue that you have on, then just remove with a rag. Once your pieces have dried, I find it's easier to cut them out. If you do it while the glue is still wet, it can tear, which isn't good. So I'd suggest you wait till it dries. Also, over the course of making this Christmas house, I used several different types of glue. And I had two glue guns that decided to blow up on me. So I did not have much luck with glue. Using a heat gun or a hairdryer also helps speed the gluing process along. So I went from a cheap PVA glue to a more tacky glue, which was much better. I would suggest a high-tack glue is far better for things like this. Note where the hole is in this, and this is where the wire will go for your lamp fitting. Here I'm using a knitting needle to just poke through. Use anything with a point on it, a needle, pokey tool. The same with this piece, it has a hole in it for the wiring. Now this is corrugated paper, and so it's quite stretchy, and beware of that when you're sticking things on. Again, just put glue on the back, make sure it's fully covered, and then place on your corrugated paper. It's far better to let this dry because the corrugated paper does move around a lot when you're trying to cut it. And use a very sharp knife, and obviously be very careful of your fingers. Once you've cut your pieces out, if you've still got any straggly bits, then just take an emery board or a piece of sandpaper and just file away these little bits at the end, and that will tidy it all up. But this is best done once the glue is thoroughly dried. There's a small piece of the corrugated paper. This will be on the outside of the house. Don't worry if you get any bits of glue on anything because the glue will dry clear. And now for the assembly. I'm using some strong high-tack glue for this. Once I placed the boards where I wanted them, I put things behind them to help hold them up until they're dry. For this upper floor, I placed a box inside to help hold it together until the glue dried. This is where I was gluing the stairs into place and making sure I'd got it in the right spot. I did, however, make a mistake and glued it in the wrong spot, and some of the backing paper tore off, but it's not a problem because it won't be seen in the end result. So with your red piece of felt, attach the ribbons to make stair runners and then glue this red piece of felt down to every step. Then take your white railings and glue them to the upstairs. Now taking all the pattern pieces, place these pieces on the white piece of material and trace round them, and then cut all these pieces out. The same with all the corresponding pattern pieces. Place them on the material, draw around them and cut them out. Taking all your felt pattern pieces and attaching them to the wooden pieces to make the furniture, and then covering them with the red gingham material. To make it a bit neater, just cut off the ends of the corners and then glue all this into place. When I cut the pieces out, I tried to get the gingham all going in the same direction, just so it looked more pleasing to the eye. Add a little bit of glue to each corner first and then pinch those in before gluing down the flat. And then we do this to all the pieces to make our sofa. I also found that the glossy accents, if you put around your material, would stop it from fraying and stiffen it up a bit, and then you could literally cut this to size and glue it into place, and that's the result with the glossy accent. Here is where I made some tiny little cushions for the sofa. Just folded over a piece of the felt and put a tiny bit of stuffing in each one and then sealed them closed with some glue. Of course you could add other things to your sofa like a throw or a blanket, and maybe you've even got a tiny pet animal like a little cat or a dog curled up. It's your Christmas house, so it's your choice. Here we've got the fireplace pieces. Glue those together, cut out the fire and stick that on the back, and then cut out the brickwork and stick that to the front. This piece of wood that goes around the fireplace also has brickwork on. Next there's a small piece of cardboard that came in the kit. I initially threw this cardboard away because I thought it was just a piece of rubbish, but it's not. This is what we're going to put on the back of the pictures and on the back of the books. And then one of the pieces is going to be folded up so it holds the picture up when it's on the mantelpiece. And we just put a bit of glue on and glue the picture to it. And then of course we can glue this to the top of the mantelpiece. And then I'm going to be gluing on the fruit bowl with the apples in, as well as one of the Santa hats. And then hang the 2 stockings from the mantelpiece. And just glue on your Merry Christmas sign. Attach your tiny stockings and Santa hat and then allow to dry. I now decided to take some glossy accents and put them over the pictures to give them a glass-like finish. You don't have to do this, and you could also use a piece of sellotape that would do just as well. I found that when these pieces dried, they curved slightly, so the glossy accents did crack, so I probably wouldn't do this again. We bend a piece of the wire to shape, and then the little Christmas cards we cut out, we're going to glue onto this wire. Take your piece of wire and your Christmas cards and glue them onto the wall in the bedroom. With this book, just literally concertina it and then glue the last pages together and the spine, and then set that aside and allow to dry. Now these presents were quite flimsy, so I decided to glue them to a piece of cardstock first, then cut them out, and this would make the presents just a little bit more sturdy. I also thought of making the presents out of polymer clay. That would probably be easier. These were the hardest things to make. It was so small and fiddly, but I took a sharp pair of scissors and just scored down every line before folding, and this helped when coming to fold and helped give sharper corners to your parcels. Take the pattern pieces of paper and place them on the red felt and then cut all your pieces out. And then you need some white pieces of felt for the top of the stockings. Glue these half circles together and these will make the Santa hats. Take a piece of felt with your fingers, just pull it apart and then roll this up and make little balls, and you glue this to the top of the hat. Then just glue a strip of white felt around the base of the hat. I cut out the piano keys from the piece of paper and then glued all the pieces together, and the same for the bed. Get all your pieces together and then glue them to the headboard and the footboard. And taking this gold piece of material, I turned in the edges and glued those down, and then folded over to make a very small pillowcase. Take a little bit of the wadding that comes into the pack and stuff this pillow, and then glue the sides down. Then making a tiny little silver bow, glue that onto the pillow. Then we take some padding and some sheet material and glue that to the bed, and then the piece of lace around the sides. So just take a hot glue gun for this and glue on the lace, and be careful not to burn your fingers because this hot glue gun does get very hot. And tuck in the sides to make it look neater, or trim any excess off that you don't need, and then glue on your fur blanket and your pillows. Attach a little bit of lace to this blue material, and there you have your little bed runner, the other Santa's hat and the book. On the piano stool, I glued the gold material into place and then added this little piece of stretch elastic around it to finish it off. And then again with this little piece of lace that has gold on it, glue that to the top of the piano and this pink bead to the gold jewellery finding, and add them to the top of the piano like this. Next, I take the piece of cardboard for the plant pot and roll it round a pen. Use any object that's round just to get that curve going. Before you glue it into place and then hold it together until it sets. And then maybe use a paper clip until it dries. And then just spread a little bit of glue around this. Just spread it out all over, and then use the twine that's incorporated in this kit. Roll this twine around all the way up to the top. And glue the circle piece of card to the base. And there's your little plant pot. And this is the pattern piece to cut out and make your poinsettias with. Place those on the piece of red felt and then just draw around them, and then take some scissors and cut those out. The same for the green piece of paper. Place your leaf shapes on this, trace around, and then cut them out. Once you've cut these leaves out, take a little bit of glue and stick them to the top of the plant pot. And next take these pieces of cotton with pearls on the end and cut them in half. And then what you need to do is poke a hole in the middle of the poinsettia leaf, and there's going to be 3 poinsettia flowers in this plant pot. Then put some glue in the bottom of your plant pot and place the flowers where you'd like them to be, and allow this to dry. And next we're taking our plant pot here and using the tall leaf pattern to apply to the piece of green card again, and then just cutting those out. I decided to draw some of these freehand just so they were more organic and natural shaped. At the end of the day there is no 2 leaves the same, so do what's easy for you. So here I'm just applying some glue inside the plant pot, and then I'm going to stick the leaves in. Try and stick them in randomly so it looks more natural. I found it best to sort of bend the ends together before I place them inside the pot. Next we're taking a piece of blue paper, taking the blue piece of paper and attaching this Christmas lace to it. Now we take the gold piece of wire and then put a loop at the end, and then attaching our findings, and to glue that together and allow it to set. Part way down I'm going to glue some more beads on. Now our standard lamp has dried, so I'm testing it to make sure that the spiral I've made at the top will hold the lampshade. Once you've got that right, thread your LED bulb and glue that into place. and then use some glue to glue the lampshade into place. And these are the pieces we used to make the wall light. Just thread your LED through this lampshade, thread the wire through the gold jewellery finding, and then glue on a piece of gold wire to your desired length, and then glue on another jewellery finding to the end. This will attach to the wall. This template is to make the tray for the turkey to sit in. So just cut round it, score the lines where the dots are, and then just fold it together and glue all these into place. With the piece of foil, I pushed in at first with my fingers, and then I used a ball tool to shape the aluminium. Once you're happy with that, place glue all over the inside. Then once again, take your ball tool and push that all into place, getting all the corners. Don't worry too much if it's not perfect and there's creases. Once the inside is glued, then go ahead and glue the rest to the outside. And then just snip off the corners and add more glue if need be, just to hold it in place. The handles are made from a piece of gold metal that is included in the kit, of which I use just a pair of pliers to bend into shape, and then glue these in the ends of the tray. Taking our bag of greenery, we're just going to apply this into the bottom of the tray. And then we can glue our turkey into place. And apply a little bit of greenery on top of the turkey. Now this oval coffee table only came with 2 legs, which no table can stand up on 2 legs, so I had to come up with a third one. So I took this peg that's used in a pin board, I pushed this through the piece of rubber that I had, and then I cut round that. Then I glued that into place. For this, to make it strong, I used E6000, one of the many glues that I used during the making of this video. And the piece of lace is placed on top with the little piece of material. These 2 tiny white beads are going to be 2 mugs. So I cut a small piece of the white wire and shaped them, and using some E6000 I glue these handles on. I also found it easier to push a knitting needle through to hold them into place while I glued the handles. Here we're making a candle, and I'm just twisting a piece of wire together, and with some of the other beads and findings I'm going to use some E6000 and glue these together. A pair of tweezers does come in handy for these tiny little things. And keep washing your hands to get the glue off, unlike me. My hands are covered in glue at this stage, as you can see. But who doesn't like peeling glue off their fingers? I know I do. And there we go, the candlestick's made, so we just add the piece of wire to this, and then at the very tip of the candle I added a tiny piece of red felt. This is the finished coffee table, and I'm taking some E6000 and then just gluing the cup to one of the gold jewellery findings, and then gluing that to the table too. For the Christmas wreath, I took a piece of the green sparkly pipe cleaner and just bent it round a round object. You can use anything that just gives you that shape a little bit easier. And then using the E6000, glue the pieces together. And then taking a piece of the gold that has balls on it, you wind that around your wreath, and then add a tiny red ribbon, and then a couple of the gold findings to look like bells. And then set this aside and allow to dry. These were a little fiddly. These beads go on a piece of wire in this sequence, and then they are attached to the window. Now we attach our bead curtain to the window frame. I start by gluing the outer ones on, then the one in the centre, and then place the other 2 in between those. And now we can glue that into place inside the window frame. If you do get these cobwebs from your glue gun, you can use a heat gun and just blast it carefully and it will melt some of these cobwebs away. But do be careful because it can melt the hot glue that you've already put there in place. Here I'm making the candy cane. So we have a piece of wire and I'm literally going to glue the piece of striped material at an angle all the way down the cane, and that will give us the striped look, and then bend the end over to form the shape of the cane. Once again, this could be made out of polymer clay quite easily. Next we have a piece of stiffened felt in green, and you need to trace around the tree and then cut that out. Also cut out some tiny circles in the yellow and the red felt. And now it's time to decorate the Christmas tree. Start thinking about where you'd want your LED bulbs. There's only 2 going on this Christmas tree. And then wrap the wire around and glue the lights into place. Also I glued a piece of the gold ball chain. Take a piece of gold sparkly pipe cleaner and wrap that around the tree too and glue that into place. I placed a silver bow under the star and then added 3 Santa stockings. You of course could make some more and add as many as you'd like. Try to place your beads randomly around the tree so they're not too uniform. Now we take the extra wires that came in the kit. You could just use a pair of scissors to do this, but I've got a wire stripping tool, and just strip the ends of the plastic off the wires so you can attach them to the tree and just make it a bit longer. As you can see, you just twist the wires together and then using the piece of white tape that came in the kit, just wrap that around the wires. I do think making fiddly things like this helps if you've not got long nails like me, because they do get in the way. Now I have all these droplets of hot glue, but don't throw them away. They can be used if you have a hot plate. Now these are all the pieces already cut out for the fencing. So just get your corrugated paper and glue these around the wooden dowels. Start it off with a strip of glue and then literally just roll the dowels in the corrugated paper and then put another bit of glue at the end. Taking a strip of the corrugated paper, I just twisted that around the metal wire and glued it into place. And then for the outside bench, glue on the legs and then glue on the backrest. Here we're going to put the snowman together, which is a large, round, fluffy wool ball and a smaller one, and then 2 little gold beads I'm going to glue in, and they're going to make the arms. The hardest bit on the snowman was to make the tiny nose out of a piece of orange paper and his tiny hat. And I decided to use a permanent marker to just make his eyes and his mouth and his buttons, etc. And now we're going to do the snow, so just put some glue on the walls. I just took my finger and rubbed the glue in slightly, put some on the floor as well, once I was happy with the amount of glue I had, and then started sprinkling on the white snow. And this snow is very static, so it really wanted to fly everywhere, but it does give a good effect when it's dried. Now take the wires from the Christmas tree and thread them through the hole into the drawer compartment at the back, and then you can glue your Christmas tree down into place. I took the green sparkly pipe cleaner and just wrapped it around a paintbrush, and then once again taking my glue gun I glued this into place. This gives you a garland effect. And now for the fence and the second glue gun, just glue the railings into place on the fence post. And I found if I lay it down I got the right measurement as to how big I wanted it. Now the ends, I took a brown Sharpie and coloured them in, but you don't actually need to do this because I did in the end cover them with snow. Just add your little bench and the rest of your fence, and then I glued the little snowman to the corner. This is where I took some glue and just added it to the fence post and the railing and added some more snow. I also added snow to the Christmas tree and some on the bench. And of course the snowman has to have some on his hat. Add some of your little parcels outside, and we thread the wall light through the hole at the back and then attach it into position with some glue. I chose hot glue again because it's instant. And this, of course, this is the fun part. putting the house together. Thread your standard lamp wire through the hole in the living room and then glue that into place so it doesn't fall over. Take a bit of glue and glue the picture onto the wall. And then we start adding our pieces like our fireplace. So I glued the wreath above the window. And there's our tiny coffee table with a little bag, and I just added some red ribbon to the bag to make handle. With this small piece of blue hessian, I pulled out some of the threads, and that gives the impression of the edges of a rug, and then just trimmed it to make sure it's square. Here we add our Christmas tree and the little box with the candy cane and a bead wrapped in netting, and then some of the other presents we made around the tree. If you don't want to use this felt tree, you could get a tree like the one we've put outside and decorate that one as well. Place the bed where it should go, and the book, and a Santa's hat. The piano goes up there as well, and the piano stool. So this is where the little pot with the poinsettia plant goes. So once everything had dried in place, I removed the box that was holding up the upstairs. Took a bit of persuading, but I got it out in the end. And this hole is what will hold the battery pack. And now at the back of the box is the battery compartment. So we take all the wooden pieces for that, glue them together and make a drawer. This just hides your battery pack and allows you to open and close it easy enough to switch the lights on and off. And there's the drawer, easy to be pulled in and out. This is where you just attach your wires together to the battery pack and put your batteries in. This is what the DIY miniature house looks like when it's finished. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to my channel. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, let me know. Also, comment below if you have any other video suggestions you'd like to see me do. And thanks again for watching. Bye!